About 3 years ago, Expressive E released this video, showing the possibilities with a plugin like IRCAM solo instruments. Since the release, people are asking how these patches were created. The text in the video gives some hints and also some of the shots. I have used this to create some of the sounds, and it appears rather simple in most cases. Only one time I have used a bit more advanced trick in Falcon, as I will explain. So if you have Osmose, Falcon and IRCAM solo instruments, this video is for you. Before we can use Osmose with Falcon, we need to make the proper MIDI settings. Go to the File menu and select Audio and MIDI settings. If you are using the USB connection, Osmose will be present with gate 1 and gate 2. Gate 1 has to be active, but make sure that gate 2 is deactivated. Otherwise you will get strange behavior. Let us first look at the hints that are given about the patches. First of all, they mention that IRCAM solo instruments support MPE. And if we scroll a little back, we can see which settings are used. The Z-axis is set to timbre. The second hint is that they are using splits and layers. So let us apply this and see what happens. Time to recreate the first sound in the video. If you look closely, the selected patch is the violin ordinario non vibrato. Now if I play, we do not hear anything. That's because we are only listening to MIDI channel 1. And for using MPE we have to listen to all MIDI channels. Now let's select MPE and the Z-axis. This is the initial poly pressure on the Osmose. And indeed, with the lightest touch we get the sound. And also we can play vibrato. In the video we cannot just hear a violin, but a whole quartet of strings, including a low contrabass. So let's add a slot and load the contrabass. And select the proper MIDI settings as well as the MPE settings. And let's put it above the violin. If we now play, we hear both the contrabass and the violin, so we have a layered sound. In order to make a split, go to the performance page. Here we can set the range for each instrument. So let's put the contrabass up till F#2 and the violin just above it. In the video they have lowered the contrabass with 1 octave. So let's do that too. Falcon is a bit weird. When you lower the octave, the split point will move 1 octave up. So I have to adjust the keyboard range 1 octave down to F#1. Now we have a proper split. Using splits and layers, I have created a multi that resembles the patch used for the intro of the video. I have layered the normal version of each instrument with the tremolo variation and used some balancing. The strange effect at the end of the video intro is caused by yet another sound. In the video you can see the player triggering it with his pinky on the D4. So I have done the same. If you do not have Falcon, the same is possible in UVI Workstation 2. You have to make the same MIDI settings. So first go to File, Audio, MIDI settings and make sure that the gate 2 of Osmose is switched off. Then you have to go to Multi. Here you can add as many parts as you like and make sure that for each part you select the Omni channel for the MIDI settings. If you go to Settings, you can set the key ranges. Make sure that you switch on the Restrict Key Range, otherwise it won't work. And now you have exactly the same thing as in Falcon. The second sound of the video contains a layered guitar and harp sound. MPE is only used for the oboe. The oboe is a layered patch with a staccato and a legato part, and only the legato part uses pressure or aftertouch. Here I have created the same sound. If you look close to the video, you can see that the pizzicato variant is used for the guitar and the xylophonic variant for the harp. Then we have the oboe staccato, which is also played by velocity, and the normal oboe, which is using MPE. But in this case we are using the I-axis, which is the aftertouch on the Osmose. In the video you can see that guitar and harp are present at the low end and the upper range of the keyboard. In the center we find the oboe. I'm not trying to play what the guy is playing, but you get the idea. There's one more sound I would like to discuss, and that's the flute sound. They say that instead of using key switches, articulation can be directly assigned to gestures on Osmose. The flute staccato is played by the initial pressure, and the Flatterzunge is triggered by the poly aftertouch. Of course, they might just have done the same thing as before, the use of a layered patch, with the MPE of the staccato sound set to the Z-axis and the MPE of the Flatterzunge set to the I-timbre. This works because the staccato sound is gone before the Flatterzunge comes up. But if you really want to switch from one sound to another, and vice versa, that's possible too. We just have to do a bit more advanced editing beyond the possibilities of IRCAM solo instruments. And that is possible with Falcon. First we are going to work on Flatterzunge, so let me select and solo it. Now we have to add our own MPE modifiers. Go to the Events page. Add the script processor by clicking on the plus on the right side. Select Script Processor, Utilities, MPE. Now if I use the Osmose, the newly added script processor is not receiving anything. That's because IRCAM is already handling the MPE. We have to switch IRCAM script off in order to receive the MPE. Now when I use the Osmose, we can see that the script is receiving the MPE. We are going to use the I-axis, which is the aftertouch, and it is set to script event modulation 1. We are not going to use the Z-axis, so switch it to none. On the advanced page we see the X-axis, and it's set to the pitch bend, which is just fine because it allows us to make our own vibrato. Now we have to apply it to the sound. Go to the Edit page. We are going to control the gain of the oscillator using modulator 1, which is controlled by our MPE script using aftertouch. So right-click the gain of the oscillator and go to Add Modulation, Program, New Script Event Modulation. Click once more on the Gain knob and now select Edit Modulation. Here we see the script event modulation is added to the gain, but it's listening to event ID 0. We need to set it to modulator 1. And if I now press on the aftertouch, you you can see over here that the gain is modified. The instrument can still be heard when the aftertouch is not active. That is because it is set to bipolar, so switch it off. Now the sound can only be heard when the aftertouch is pressed. If you go back to the info page and switch the solo off, for the combination with the staccato sound, this would be enough. But what if we combine it with the normal flute sound? The normal flute sound can be heard still at the same time as the Flatterzunge, and that's not what you want. So we have to do the same procedure for the normal flute sound. The difference is that the gain of the normal flute sound should be decreasing instead of increasing when pressing the aftertouch. By clicking this little guy over here, we reverse the effect. So let's put it together. The normal sound can be merged into the Flatterzunge and vice versa. I hope this video helped you. In the description you will find download links for all the sounds created in this video. Have fun!